Hello, everybody from sunny Florida, where I happen to be this week. Uh, I'm starting a new podcast series called Wednesdays with Robbie, where I go over just some interesting topics, quirks, usually going to be health related. Today's particular podcast episode, and these will all be relatively short. I'm thinking like 5 minutes, right around there, maybe 10 minutes, but those are going to be the more in depth episodes. Today's episode is something interesting that I recently discovered about how sometimes we sneeze when we go outside. So if you go in from being inside or in a dark area and you go outside where it's bright and the sunlight hits you, how that makes you sneeze. Interestingly enough, that is only present in about 10 to 35% of the population. And the reason why that is such a wide number, you think, oh, why is it 10 to 35%? Like that's a wide range. The reason being is there's a lot of self-reporting required for a lot of these studies that talk about this. And as we know with self-reporting studies, that it's kind of dependent on if people are telling the truth or not, how accurate they are with their information. So that's definitely the case with something like this. I personally do sometimes sneeze when I go outside from being indoors and the sun hits me. I'll have a sneeze or two, and then it's out of my system. It doesn't last just for that one or two sneezes. But interestingly enough, talking to my family about this earlier today, we found that a lot of us have it, and it is hereditary, which is interesting in that it can be passed down from your parents. So if you have it, that means one of your parents have it, and if you have a 50% chance of passing it down to your own child or offspring. So kind of interesting, kind of quirky. It's called ACHOO syndrome, most commonly referred to as the photic sneeze reflex. But ACHOO, ACHOO, stands for autosomal dominant compelling helio-ophthalmic outburst. Kind of a long way of saying it makes you sneeze when you go outside. That's why people just say ACHOO syndrome. The exact mechanism on why it happens isn't fully understood. The leading theory is that when a bright light hits your eyes, like the sun, it stimulates your optic nerve. So all that light comes in quickly. Optic nerve gets excited, and this stimulates the nearby trigeminal nerve, kind of like a spillover effect, and the trigeminal nerve is responsible for sensations in your face, including your nose. This cross wiring can trick the brain into thinking there's something in your nose, some kind of irritant or something else in there. And so the brain says, oh, we got to get that out. So it forces you to sneeze, even though there's nothing in there anyway. Kind of funny, kind of quirky, kind of interesting. It, like we talked about, it is genetic. About a 50% chance you will pass it on to your kids. It's typically not dangerous. There are some very rare and weird instances where it might be dangerous. And that usually involves maybe somebody like a NASCAR driver or a racer of some sorts, where maybe you go in a tunnel and it's really dark. I don't see that being the case in most instances. And then you were to come out and hit the sunlight, bright light hits you, maybe cause you to sneeze, cause an accident. Maybe swimmers or divers where you go underwater. Maybe you're into going underneath the rock formations in the water. Maybe you're doing some deep sea diving type thing. And then as you come up, causes you to sneeze. Typically, that wouldn't be a serious issue either. But, you can make an argument where something like those situations could be an issue. Like, how do we know it's in 10 to 35% of the population? There's been a few studies done on this. Interestingly enough, the first one that I could find was by Everett in 1964, where they found out about 24% of the students at the University of Missouri or Mizzou reported having the reflex. Later on, about 25 years later, looks like around 1988, a gentleman named Berger posted a study that estimated 18 to 35% of people might have it. That was based on observational data and case reports. So again, that's why you see a wide range. In 95, there was another study done. About 23% of patients in a specific clinic reported having it. But interestingly enough, now this is more current within the last 10 to 15 years, these genome studies that you see with like groups like 23andMe and other groups like that, they showed a similar range, about 25 to 33%, and they linked it to autosomal dominant inheritance, confirming it's something you can inherit from your parents or you can pass on to your children. So that was kind of interesting in these DNA studies, these groups that take your swab and send it off and tell you where you're from, what part of the world you're from, dating back to your ancestry. They're actually looking at stuff like that as well. And they found out, yeah, like basically up to a third of people could have this condition or this syndrome, if you want to call it that. Again, it's kind of funny, kind of weird. Nothing too wild or outrageous about it. The biggest finding I could find was about maybe 1 in 3 people have it. But it's just funny to me because, like I said, I have it and several members of my family have it. Now, is that because we all share a similar ancestry path where it's getting passed down more often? Both my mom and my dad report having it, claim they have it. So did that mean I have a better chance of having it? Probably. If you go back to like the Punnett square thing back in learning science class 100 years ago. But I just thought that was funny, kind of interesting, something that you can share. Basically, the meat and potatoes of it is about 1 in 3 people have it, or they go outside and sun causes them to sneeze. It is hereditary, about 50% chance. And could it be dangerous? Yeah, you can make argument maybe in certain very specific situations it could be dangerous, but overall, no. And the funniest thing to me, or the most interesting thing to me, is that these genome studies actually found a high instance of it with their DNA studies they've been doing, and how it affects like the optic nerve, how the sunlight affects the optic nerve, your eyes. It connects near the trigeminal nerve, which is your sensation in your face, and it tricks your brain into thinking there's something in your nose. So your brain's like, well, we got to get this out of here. Force me to sneeze. Problem solved, in theory. But I just thought that was interesting. If you thought so too, like this video, there's podcasts, little shorts we're going to be doing every Wednesday. We're going to call it Wednesdays with Robbie, where we talk about something different, something quirky. And this is the first one. So congratulations if you're watching this one. You're on board for the very beginning of it. And we will have something new and exciting next week. Stay tuned.